Well, welcome to the Super Earth Podcast. This is the Helldivers 2 podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts, DB, and I'm joined by Snuff and Bacon. Say hello, guys.
Hello there.
Hello, guys.
So, what you guys been up to lately? How's it going?
I mean, usually Helldivers. I haven't actually played that much Helldivers lately. Been too busy with work this week. But
How's the weather up in Norway? Is it getting warm this time of year?
I mean, I would say it's fairly warm. It's above freezing, so pulled out my shorts, got my t-shirt on, enjoying the little sun we have.
Yeah, it's almost pool weather over here in Georgia. It's starting to get hot.
It's not too bad right now. It's like, 10 degrees Celsius, so it's not too bad.
Okay, so we have a few things to talk about Helldivers 2 related. We recently, the last two episodes, we just got done with the big thing that happened recently was an update where they did a whole bunch of changes. They buffed a whole bunch of guns. After that, they did an update with like a stratagem, a new break stratagem. So that's what we covered on the last episodes. But in between then and now was April Fool's. So we got a nice little April Fool's update. What happened with that, Snuff? Can you tell us about it?
That was actually the one day I wasn't on the game, but I did saw what happened. And like in previous updates and patches, like especially the sickle tended to get bigger and bigger for some reason, but on April Fool's they took it to a whole other level where they either made your weapons ginormous or tiny, like tiny as a little pencil.
No, I didn't play either that day, but I was seeing videos on it, I saw TikToks on it, and I saw screenshots, and it was almost like every person had a different sized weapon.
Yeah, it varies randomly from person to person and whenever you equip the new weapon.
Like I saw, so what happened, the two weapons that seemed to have changed was the sickle and the liberator. So I saw some people with the sickle that was, maybe the size like from the ground to their shoulder, and then I saw one guy with a sickle that it was taller than he was. And then I saw somebody who had a liberator that looked like normally a liberator, a full-length assault rifle. I saw a guy who had a liberator that was the size of an SMG, and then later I saw a guy who had one that was smaller. It was like the liberator the size of a pistol.
I mean, if that size actually translated into the gameplay, then the liberator would definitely have gotten heavy armor pen. And absolutely no armor pen with a small version.
Yeah, that was a fun little update. Now, the size change did only affect the weapons while it was on the ship, right? So when you launched into a planet, they're just normal sized weapons. But was there anything else with that April Fool's update?
Not that I could see. Oh yeah. There was Arrowhead himself.
Yeah.
Joking about name change. That they would remove. It was time to remove the arrow part of the Arrowhead name, so it'd just be head now. But I think that was it for April Fool's Day.
Okay.
I think.
And then another thing that we got, and I saw this from Argent, who is one of the guys in the Discord. He's in there all the time. But he was saying, let's see. Well, I wrote this down. I wrote that the autocannon got a fix. So, but Argent was saying, I love how Joel is throwing everything at us to try and take Popley 9. Level 40 invasion, incineration troops, jet brigade, etc. And we might still win it because of the intervention of the DSS Eagle Storm coming to save us. He even reduced our reinforcements and half the resupply drop, and there seems to be a bug with the autocannon that if you reload it or change the ammo type, it can't shoot. So what's the update on that? The Popley 9, I'm thinking that must be a planet, right? Did we end up taking it back?
It's one of the. It was under our control. It was during the Protect Malevolent Creek MO that we just had. It was one of the closer planets, and since
All right. Also, I forgot to mention when we started the episode about what I've been doing. I think actually it's been about a week. I've been pretty busy. It's been about a week since I played Helldivers, but Bacon and I hopped on Helldivers this morning, and we played some Super Helldive against the bots.
Oh, yeah.
Were you enjoying it, Bacon?
Dude, it was so fun. Earlier this week, I was playing with my brother on bugs, and it's a whole different ball game. So to get back to bots, I'm comfortable. I can actually know what I'm doing right now and not be overwhelmed.
Yeah, we were playing. We were playing, and I was like, "Man, this objective is still red. Like, why is it still red? Are there fabricators around?" And like, Bacon was trying to tell me the whole time that I was right, but standing right beside one, and it just ended up being like, it was one of the new like big fabricators where like you can, I think, factory striders or hulks pop out of them, or something like that. And so then all of a sudden he's like, "Yeah, I'll take it out." And I'm like, "What?" And I turn around and just a massive explosion behind me. I'm literally 5 feet away from this thing.
Oh, that's funny.
But yeah,
My combat awareness is great.
I mean, if you don't see a fucking fabricator, no wonder you don't see my mines.
Yeah, so that was fun. We ended up playing with a guy named Nokia, and so at the end of it, he was all the way across the map, and like he was doing some objective, and we're like, "Hey man, we'll wait for you here," And so he gets over and he extracts, and Bacon says something in the chat about he's like Nokia's never die or something.
Nokia's never die. We never leave them behind. They're indestructible.
What are some? Do you guys know any? Can you think of any other like gamer tags, like little Helldiver names like that you like to see?
Not that springs to mind like immediately. I mean, you always have the people naming themselves General Brash or John Helldiver, but we all know those are fake.
Yeah,
I
they are
do
never
like
real.
I do like the John Helldiver one. Back in the old Call of Duty days, I remember like one of my first ever online games. I think they were on opposite teams from each other, but I think it was the names were somebody's mom and Jesus, and so there was a kill feed, and the kill feed would say Jesus fragged somebody's mom. But yeah, actually, that's a good call to action. If you guys have fun names that you've seen or that you played with, drop it in the comment section. Drop it, comment on YouTube or Spotify or in our Discord. Let us know what names you've seen. Maybe I'll put a poll up. People can answer.
Yeah.
But oh, Bacon, you had something something happened today when we were playing.
Oh yeah, so it was that same mission where the factory towers and seeing them all around, and the glitch happened where DB just became a torso, and so he had no arms, no legs, and he was just no head, break skateboard. And he was just running around, floating around, and he had the laser cannon, the one that shoots a beam and melts enemies. And I could not see that at all. It was just this torso's running around, and then I see enemies off in the distance just explode and melt and blow up. And I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah, meanwhile, I was like, hey, for this game, like, stay close to me. If we split up, let's do buddy pairs. So the other two will stay together, you stay with me. And so poor Bacon the whole time is trying to follow me around, and he can't see me. He can't see my player icon on the screen. So
yeah, he was just a floating torso.
I figured that'd be a good thing to bring up if there's a developer that watches it. It's like the glitch isn't that bad. It's like the fact that he can't even see where I'm at, and that I asked Bacon. I was like, can you at least see the giant laser coming out of the end of my gun? He's like, no, I can't. So the guy had no idea where it was. He's trying to follow me.
Sometimes it's even just a cape, so you can barely see anything at all.
Oh no.
And yesterday when I was playing, Dars joined us, and he made a grave mistake once more. Can you guess what he did?
Oh no.
What he did?
He picked up my weapon.
Oh no.
And we all know what happens when he picks up my weapon. The homing beacon activates, and his head goes pop, pop, pop. And he also had a tendency yesterday to stand next to another small bot all the time. So I kept shooting him. Like every time I accidentally shot him, he was standing right next to another automaton. And a reflection on his helmet. I think he was wearing the shiny helmet, so it looks like he had red eyes.
Oh no.
So I kept popping his head over and over again. Poor Dars.
That's so sad.
What weapon was it that he picked up that you were using?
Yesterday I was running with a spear mostly. It's still a little bit bugged.
And this was this Super Helldive? Of
course.
So
it was like, no, I was just gonna borrow it. Here.
So what's your loadout when you have a spear like that? Like how do you build your loadout around that? Like what are you using for your primary? Is the spear are you getting a lot of use out of that spear, or is it mostly for anti-tank?
The spear you can either shoot and use it as anti-tank. You can target anything from a Hulk or bigger, basically, if you're on boss side, or no, that's a lie. You can target the Scout Striders as well. You can target those as well, but that's kind of a waste in my opinion. So I never use it on those. So I just target Hulks or bigger. You can target bunkers. You can target fabricators, cannon towers, things like that.
So like for the little, what'd you call them, the little Striders?
Mm-hmm.
How do you take those out? Like what are you using for that? Your just main weapon? Where do you shoot them?
It depends on what I have. If I have the Senator, it's pretty fast to just either pop them in the hip with a couple of shots and their legs will fall off and they'll fall to the ground, or you can... the fastest way is just to, if you shoot dead on the missiles on their side, it will explode and kill them in one shot.
Okay, with the Senator?
Yeah, Senator, Liberator, whatever, really. As long as you hit the rocket dead on.
Okay, so you don't need armor pen to hit those rockets.
No.
Okay.
So for the Stalwarts users, go ahead and pop those rockets.
I've been actually meaning to ask that question because, back when I started playing, the Striders, they didn't have armor around the little robot. It's like you could just shoot the robot off.
They're regular Scout Striders. Yeah, they don't have from level 8 and below, isn't it? It doesn't have the armored ones.
Oh, really? So it's a difficulty setting now.
Yeah, on level 10, it's only the armored Scout Striders.
Interesting. Yeah, I didn't even...
if you pump the rockets, they just die.
I've been playing Super Helldive so much that I didn't even know that the ones without armor existed anymore. Because I've only seen the armored ones.
Yeah, I would honestly kind of like to see them still mix in the regular ones, just have more of the regular ones as well. Like, you can have small battalions of Scout Striders, and some of them are armored, but there's a lot of the regular ones.
Yeah, I would kind of agree with that. I don't get swarmed as much in Super Helldive as I'd like to get, actually. I would like more like swarms, like yeah. Give me like 6 or 7 or 8 of those Striders without the armor, to fight off.
Yeah, just give us small armies coming towards you, honestly.
Because most of the time, we were playing today, and most of the time when like a dropship comes, it'll drop a couple of the Devastators, but it'll have like 10 of the small guys. And because I've been using the Eruptor, the small guys, I take out 10 of them in one hit because it's kind of like a grenade launcher.
Yeah.
And so
I love how you're saying that.
But yeah, you asked about what loadout I use to play around the spear. First of all, if you're doing destroy bunker missions, spear is probably the best weapon you can bring. You can pop a bunker in one shot if you hit it correctly, which is really nice.
Well, and
you don't have to get close.
I have a question for you, but before I ask that, Bacon, you were saying something?
Yeah, I love how you're saying, oh, I'd love to be swarmed, and like, you know, the bot drops, they don't drop them right on top of you. And I'm sitting here just with PTSD and shaking in my boots. I'm like, no, wait. I just don't have the combat awareness like you guys do.
You'll get there.
I'll get
come
there.
By itself.
One day.
Yeah.
So the question that I had, because this happened today, we had actually, it might have been the last mission before we jumped off, but Bacon and I think it was that mission, in fact, but Bacon and I landed on a mission, and we landed in range of a jammer. So we had no stratagems, no extra weapons, like we just had to kill this jammer, and one of the guys that were with us had just killed it in 5 seconds. Like, we were running up to it, you know, I started to like kill bots, and he just killed it so quickly. So my question is like, what did he do? How did he kill that jammer so quick? I thought you had to like go use a terminal or something.
Probably used the ultimatum.
Yeah, that's exactly it. He used the ultimatum, and even I think it was later in that battle, there was another jammer, and it was in the city, and we were like, let me try to use the quasar cannon to maybe shoot at it. And I kept shooting the top, and it didn't work. And I'm like, well, okay, let me use the ultimatum. Shot it at the base, and it exploded. So I think that's for me, that's a really good secondary.
Okay, so it's basically, I feel like have we talked about the ultimatum in a previous episode yet?
I think we have mentioned it briefly.
So why don't we cover what that is right now? So it takes a secondary slot, so it takes a pistol slot. Yeah. And you only have one bullet for it.
One grenade.
Yeah. One grenade. So you have one round, one grenade for it, and it's basically like a grenade launcher.
Kinda like a one big boom kind of weapon. Like, you can fill it up with more ammunition, obviously, but you have to reload after each shot. But it is the only weapon that can take out either the Eye of Sauron, the detector tower, or the jammer in one shot.
No.
Okay, so you can't just
the other anti-tank weapons cannot destroy those.
Okay, so like you can't pull a grenade launcher out and hit the base of the jammer and blow it up.
No. Okay. No. It's only the ultimatum.
Okay.
Although, like, personally, I feel like it kind of makes it a little bit obsolete because you don't have the challenge of destroying them anymore, but that's also me speaking.
Right.
Now, what's the thing
And it
called?
also leads to a lot of team kills because people keep fucking pulling that thing out and shooting it while they're standing next to the whole squad.
It's not my fault.
Well, so what's the anti-tank weapon that you said you were using earlier? It's like the javelin.
Yeah, you're using the spear.
The spear.
The spear is a targeting anti-tank weapon.
Can the spear take out the jammers? Because I feel like it used to be able to.
No, it can't.
So
you used to be able to before because you could shoot the fabricator that was attached to the jammer before, but now taking down the fabricator doesn't destroy the jammer anymore. It used to be that way, but that was the only way to do it before, unless you did the computer.
Okay. Oh, by the way, I did pull up, I've got the stats for the GP31 ultimatum. It's a secondary weapon. The weapon type is special. It has 3,500 standard damage, projectile damage. It has 1,000 explosion damage. Its max penetration is anti-tank grade 4 for projectile and anti-tank grade 2 for explosion. It's an 80 millimeter projectile. It looks like it says you can have one spare round for it.
Mm.
And yeah, I don't know. Sorry, what were you
There
saying?
is one very important thing that I have to bring out to all the ultimatum users. Stop hogging the supplies. Because ultimatum users have a tendency to just fire the shot and then waste all the supplies
Yeah,
when the squad also needs supplies. They
if
just
you're
hog
full
everything.
on,
Stop doing that. You're a team. Everyone needs supplies.
yeah, if you're full on stims and grenades, I wouldn't go for the supply drop.
Yeah.
A lot of times there's just ammo packs around points and main missions, and if you pick those up, it'll refill just the ammo and it'll refill the grenades or
Yeah,
your
exactly.
ultimatum.
Exactly. So, because a lot of ultimatum users have a tendency to just waste all the supplies even though they're full on everything else. Stop doing that, guys. You're a full team. If you're playing solo, grab whatever you need. But if you're playing with a squad, save resources for everyone else.
Also, for comparison's sake, I do have the stats because I didn't know what that meant when I said the damage. So the standard damage for the ultimatum is 3,500 standard and 1,000 explosion. Compare that to the autocannon. It has 260 standard damage and 150 explosions.
Oh geez, like 10 times.
Yeah, it's
1.
10 times.
It's a 500 in your hands, basically.
It's
just with a smaller radius.
It's kind of comparable to the recoilless. So the recoilless has 3,200 standard damage, and it has 150 explosion, and that's a heat round. So it actually is. It's got 850 more explosion damage than a recoilless.
Dang.
So pretty crazy. But the fact that you only get one bullet, I guess,
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can't shoot very far with it either. You have a very short range.
Yeah.
He kind of just lobs the grenade over to the closest thing.
Yeah, I think that's the hardest thing about the weapon is figuring out, okay, I've been shooting straight at the enemies for the last 30 minutes. Now I need to look up and shoot a grenade.
Yeah.
So I think it was either last week or the week before the episode I had mentioned unspoken rules. And in between that episode and now, I just had thought of one this morning. And the unspoken rule that I've seen is when you enter somebody's ship for this first time, you have to give them a hug. It's like unspoken doctrine. It's like, for some reason, just every single ship, doesn't matter if I'm joining randoms or whoever, every single time, you cannot start Helldiving until you give everybody else a hug. Is that correct? Have you guys seen that?
I've seen it. I've definitely
Some
seen it.
people follow it. I would say most people don't follow that rule, but some people demand that rule to be followed.
It's more like a etiquette or a courtesy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an unspoken rule.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, by the way, today I extracted with the little robot head. What are they called? The little like intel things?
Confidential data?
Yeah, confidential data.
Yeah.
So yeah, had a lot of fun, man, today playing with Bacon. Had a lot of fun. You know, it's like I forget how fun this game is sometimes. It's like you get so busy with other stuff and
Clearly doesn't play enough. Undemocratic.
well, we'll just have to play some today after we were done recording.
Yeah, we might have to.
Okay, I have a fun question. I don't know. Tell me if we've covered this before, but in MRE, so like an MRE in the U.S. military is called a meal ready to eat. Basically, it's like dehydrated food, and they have different menus or whatever. What do you think an MRE would be for a Helldiver? Like, what do you think they would eat? Have we talked about this?
I don't think we have talked about it, but I can tell you that they probably don't get any. Because you have to remember, after each mission, they just go straight back to cryo freeze.
Right.
And then they just get taught out, dropped in, and used as cannon fodder. And if you survive, straight back to the freezer with you.
Is that really how you think it works?
Yeah,
Like,
I do think that is
canonically?
how it works. Yeah, I
Well,
do
because-
think so.
Well, because then how do you get like that's the thing that I question. Like, how do you get the word out about major orders if everybody's frozen? How do they know about like what they're supposed to be doing? Like, how do you give them intel?
I mean, we kind of dropped in that in one of the earlier episodes where I explained that you, as the Helldiver, isn't actually the commander of the ship. Remember the democracy officer standing at the table?
Yeah.
He's most likely the actual person that is controlling everything. And
So
he takes the orders from high command, and then he just drops you in wherever you are needed.
So, like, if the major order has killed 1 million bugs, he's like, hey, make sure. Do you think there's communication going that we're not hearing that he's like, hey, make sure that you kill a bunch of bugs this time or whatever?
I mean, like, realistically, they're probably communicating things down from the ship, yeah. Like, they probably have, like, on their pad, on their arm, they can probably see the order that they have to do. Most likely.
Yeah. Just having
Yeah.
so many soldiers like deep frozen, it just presents so many problems. Like,
You can fit a lot on one ship.
you learn a lot about like when you're in a war, you learn a lot about what's going on, talking to the guys beside you. So like Malevelon Creek, nobody would have known if that's true, where people just they go down, they either die or they get sucked back up into the ship and put in a cryo sleep. Then nobody would know about Malevelon Creek, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's always the few survivors. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know if you have actually looked up the average lifespan of a Helldiver. I know it in my head. But I don't know if you guys have actually know what average lifespan is.
Is this canonically lore accurate lifespan,
Yes.
or is this in the game?
Yes. This is canonical lore accurate.
What is it?
2 minutes.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Which leads us back to why I do not think they're getting much MREs.
Yeah.
Well, okay. That being said, what about the democracy officer? What's he getting? What about the?
Oh, you probably have like a hall with just a feast table.
They have a McDonald's on the ship.
Probably. Super McDonald's.
Okay. Well, let me phrase the question in this way: If Helldivers had MREs, what would be in them? Super hamburgers, super spaghetti. What menu items would we see?
It's probably like kind of just like a tube of dense energy nutrition, which just some kind of goo almost. Because they never take off their armor, so they might not even get anything to eat. They might just be injected with something, like they just hook something up to the armor.
They
Because
just
you know
take
the
a
little
stem.
spot they have on the back, on their neck?
Yeah.
They have like a little circle there where they get hooked up to the cryo freezer. They might use that to feed them as well.
Well, 100% the cryo freezer, they're feeding them nutrients while they're frozen. 100%.
Yeah, so they might not get anything at all, as I said, but if they have like something like actual physical they can eat, it might just be some kind of tube with some kind of gushy mushy thingy.
So how long? So okay, I have another question. How long do you think a contract is for a Helldiver? Like, let's say they sign up to be a Helldiver and they get cryo frozen. How long is Super Earth keeping them frozen? You know, let's say they never deploy, they never see combat or whatever. How long do you think they're keeping them before they release them back to be a civilian?
I think it does stand on the code of conduct. Like in the tutorial, there's like a wall with the whole code of conduct for being a Helldiver. If you read that, you're automatically shot though, because it says on like at the end that if you read this, you're a traitor or something like that. But it probably says it in that code of conduct. But I have not read it because that is undemocratic. But yeah, they probably just keep them until they're needed, and they probably drop in so many missions, and if they survive, they get honored or something.
Well, Snuff, I'm actually curious about this. This is a little bit sidetracked, but what are like common menu items for an MRE in like the Norwegian army?
We a very diverse menu items. We usually have freeze-dried food, which we rehydrate with hot water. It can vary from different types of pasta, like all kinds of pasta. It can be cod, it can be kebab, it can be tacos. But everything is usually some kind of stew. So it's like a taco stew, it's like chili con carne.
Okay, well, tell me this. What's the best, maybe the best one or two menu items that everybody trades to get, and what's the worst one?
Personally, I think the reindeer stew is probably one of the best ones.
Oh, reindeer, what?
Yeah, I think that is one of the best ones.
They live in a
the kebab
different
stew
world
is
over there.
pretty good.
Oh yeah.
What?
Yeah, the Americans tended to always
Reindeer.
want to trade with us because our food was apparently a hell of a lot better.
Yeah, man, give me some reindeer stew. What the heck?
You can pretty much get whatever you can think of.
All right, so what's the worst one?
The worst one? Probably the spinach stew, I think.
Ooh, that does.
But like even that one isn't bad. I wouldn't say any of them are like really bad. All of them are decent.
And now that is all kind of like freeze dried, where you add water and you rehydrate it with like hot water.
Yeah.
Okay,
we
so
run with that style all the time.
So in the U.S. Army, the common thing everybody knows is MREs, right? And I'm gonna talk about that, but then I'll talk about something cool that's similar to what you're talking about. In the MREs, which is like everybody in the U.S. Army has pretty much tried and eaten, and probably the Navy and Marines and Air Force too. The number one that I think that everybody likes is like Taco Mac, which I know it's not called Taco Mac.
No,
I
but
know,
I know which one.
I think it's like chili, or maybe it's called Chili Mac, but it's basically chili with macaroni.
Yeah.
And then I think the main thing when you're talking about MREs, the main thing people really talk about is the sides. So like the cheese, there's like a cheese thing. It's like this little
Oh yeah, you get that little bag with the liquid cheese kind of.
Yes, exactly. And so an MRE has like a waterless heater. So you heat up your main menu, but what you can do is you put that little bag of cheese in there and you heat up, and now you get this hot melty cheese. And the jalapeno cheese spread is like top tier. Like people love that. And then the one thing that people hated was the veggie omelet. And I'll tell you this, man, I got so good at MREs, I've got tricks for everyone. So I'll tell you the trick for the veggie omelet, because it comes with something called salsa verde. And salsa verde, that little thing was delicious. But the omelet would come, you'd heat it up and it would have juice in there. So what you do is you drain the juice from the omelet, and then you take your salsa verde and you've heated it up as well with your little water. Most people don't, but I'm telling you, this is the trick. Heat up that sauce, that little salsa verde,
Mm-hmm.
and then pour it into your omelet, and it makes it like 10 times better.
Mm.
But something that's similar to what you're talking about when I deployed to Afghanistan is we had two different things. So we had MREs, but we also had UGREs, and these are massive, platoon-sized, like maybe could feed 2 squads of guys, and it's like it uses the same like science of the waterless heater, but it's in like a casserole dish sized meal. And so you'd stack 3 of these meals up. You'd have dessert, entree, and whatever on there, and you'd pull one tab, and it would release the water to all these things, and it would like cook, like a platoon sized element of food. But
Yeah.
the thing that's cool is when we were on an observation post on top of a mountain, we had things called long range patrol meals, and they're really similar to what you're talking about. And you would have to have, I think we would use a coffee maker, so we would put water in this coffee maker but not put any coffee in it, and it would just heat up the water, so we'd have hot water, and it would be a dehydrated thing. And we had like, I remember we had like clam chowder, and we had like beef stew and all, and that stuff was really good.
Yeah, some of this freeze-dried stuff can be really good. Like the Arctic field ration that is called here comes with a bunch of different things. It's like a vacuum-packed plastic bag, kind of. So it's very compact. And inside there you have the main meal, which is like one big stew portion, kind of. Yeah, you get some protein bar, some candy drops, some energy drink, some dried fruit usually, some coffee, Ziploc bags, chewing gums, and some cutlery and disinfectant.
And you said
paper
that's
as well.
you said that's like the Arctic meal.
That's the standard ration you get.
Was that does that usually have an item that you heat up or no?
Yeah, it usually does. Well, not usually, it always does.
So that just reminds me of a different run. So we had the MREs, we had the UGREs, we had the long range reconnaissance patrol meals, and then we had this other thing, and I forget what it's called, but it was basically an MRE, but it didn't have the heated up meal item. And I do not forget, I forget what it was called, but it was awesome, man, because it was like, if you get rid of the heated item in an MRE, the MRE is almost always better. Like, so like instead of having some gross beef stew as an MRE, you would have you like tuna. They give you, and some normal MREs had this as well. You would have to get lucky to get it, but it would have like tuna in a little thing. You pull the tuna out and you put it on your little MRE bread, or I forget what else it would have. Somebody in the Discord was giving suggestions, and they were like, hey, with the new incineration troops, how do you fight them? And I'm going to let you speak in 1 second, Snuff, but I've found that for me, when I get, so first let me break down the incineration core, what happens. So number 1, you have the smaller little automaton bots. They're just like human-sized bots, and they'll have flamethrowers. Okay, and then you'll have your normal Hulks. Your normal Hulks also will have a flamethrower, but they're really close range. Same, and I'll say that with these small bots is they're close range. And then what you have is you have these new incineration Hulks that are like flame mortars. So it's gonna drop like a giant flame ball like from far away. And how I've kind of defeated these, and maybe I won't say defeated, but how I combat it is, as soon as I catch on fire, I will dive and hit the ground and stim. And so that way, I think that does 2 things. I think being prone makes it so, stop, drop, and roll. I don't know if that's correct, but in my mind, that makes me less catch on fire as much. And then number 2, that stim really like makes you be able to stim through it. Now, what do you got to say, Snuff?
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, if you're close enough that it starts shooting at you and it hits you, kind of don't, unless you're wearing the flame armor, of course, then you can survive while being on fire a little bit longer. But in general, you kind of have to stop, drop, and roll. you kind of have to do that unless you want to die. And other than that, while trying to get around it or away from it, whatever situation you're in, you kind of have to zigzag a little bit because they are very, very good at predicting your movement. So if you keep running in the same way, you're guaranteed to be hit, and you will die. So you have to have more of a random movement pattern to avoid getting shot by them than before. Because the regular Hulks, for example, they will kind of just shoot in the general same area until they're finished shooting that small barrage, and then they will start tracking you again. Well, this guy will just shoots one big mortar at a time, so he will just keep peppering wherever you're on the way to move.
Oh, and
you
I
just have to
forgot
keep moving around.
I forgot one enemy unit that I didn't cover for the incineration troops. They're shield devastators, and they have fire shotguns. And the reason they're crazy is because it's a shotgun, so it has crazy spread. But if one pellet of flame hits you, it doesn't matter if they're 100 meters away, you will burst into flames. It is crazy.
Just like our cookout and breaker and incendiary. Just like those.
But yeah, and another thing
hard.
is, and I'll say this, if you're having troubles fighting the automatons, and this is in general, not even just the incineration corpse, but other automatons, use cover. They have guns, they can shoot you, so it's like, learn what your crouch, I don't know what it is on controller, I'm assuming maybe like the B button, but crouch, be behind a rock. You know, if you're reloading, get cover, reload and cover, then poke out, maybe use that cover, shoot, and then kind of get back behind the cover and peek out again and shoot again. And like if you in your kit, and I personally believe this, I think you should have a long range option and a close range option. So the Flame Hulks, I hit the Flame Hulks at a distance. I don't like to fight them up close. If I have to, I will. But I'll poke out of cover. I'll start hitting it. If I've taken one down, I'll get back in cover. I'll re-peek, and I'll start taking out the next thing.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, if you have the option to stay behind cover or fight on a little bit of a distance, it's always the safer option to do that.
Yeah.
Getting up close and personal, unless you have the shield and the axe, even with the shield and the axe, it is risky.
And can I tell you the most overpowered thing I've seen in this game? Being in the prone position, for some reason, it is just superior, dude. Like, you don't die as much, you kill things more, they don't see you as... I don't know what's going on, but be in the prone as much as you can, and you'll have a good time.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, if you're prone, you get better, more stable aim.
Yeah.
That's the first thing. And they also tend to try and shoot at you more in a like regular head height. So if you go prone or crouch down, they will tend to shoot over you, at least in the beginning when they start shooting at you. Like, they will target down eventually, but it takes a longer time before all those shots starts targeting down below than up high.
All right, cool. So I think we're good to move on to the top 5. I did want to get that last little thing in there because I remembered it, somebody in the Discord. And I think it's important to engage with people in the Discord and like kind of add things to the episode that people suggest, because there's a lot of good suggestions in the Discord. And if you guys want to hear something in the episode, get in the Discord, let us know, because we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
With that point in hand, our top 5 this week is a suggestion from the Discord. I got in the Discord and I said, hey, you guys have any suggestions for top 5? And Coyote J was like, can you do top 5 ways to kill big things? Now we have changed that slightly. We're going to do top 5 ways to kill anything. So it's not limited to only tanks or anti-tank or whatever. But I did want to give a shout out to Coyote J because he suggested the top 5, and I also asked him what would be your number 1 for top 5 ways to kill big things, and he's like, "Oh, Snuff knows what it is."
I do.
What is it, Snuff?
It's 100% recoilless.
The recoilless rifle.
The recoilless rifle for Coyote is like the EMS mortar for you.
So yeah. So it's the GR-8 recoilless rifle. It has, earlier in this episode, I said it does 3,200 standard damage, 150 explosion with a heat round. With an HE, it does 750 standard and 800 explosion. A recoilless rifle, I know what a recoilless rifle is because I'm like a military nerd. Back when I was a kid, I had this like book from the Korean War, and it was like, I think it was called Arms and Light Arms of Our Men in the Service, and it was from the 1950s. And one of the coolest things in this book was a recoilless rifle, and I was like, what is that? Well, a recoilless rifle in real life, it looks like a bazooka, it looks like a rocket launcher, but it's different. So the way that it's different is a bazooka is literally a rocket launcher. You set ignition to a rocket, and the rocket has a rocket engine. And, of course, at the end it has an explosive round. But this rocket shoots through the tube. And, yeah, it is what it sounds like, a rocket launcher. But the recoilless rifle is different. It is a tube just like a rocket launcher, but instead of shooting a rocket, it is actually a normal munition. So it's like... in this case, the recoilless rifle in the game is 85 millimeter. So it basically shoots an 85 millimeter bullet, but instead of a normal rifle where there's a chamber and there's usually like a bolt at the end and it's all contained, a recoilless rifle is called recoilless because a lot of the powder blows out the back end.
Oh.
Because it's an open tube where just the firing pin is contained, and that's it. And the firing pin hits the munitions. Munitions goes forward. And when you use a recoilless rifle in Helldivers 2, you'll actually see the end of the recoilless rifle. When you reload it, you'll pop it open. The empty shell will fall out, and you'll load a new shell in.
Yeah, and you also see like recoilless rifles generates a big back blast. So if you stand behind them, you will get the blast in your face, and in the game you will topple over. In real life, that would just depend on the power of the recoilless rifle.
Yeah.
But it basically, when you shoot, if you think about a regular gun, all the power is going out the front of the muzzle, so it will push the weapon backwards. But when you have two openings, it will also go backwards to compensate for what goes out in the front, so it basically almost stands still.
It cancels it out.
Yeah,
and that's why they call it recoilless, because there's nothing preventing the rifle from the backward pressure of that gas, and so there's no recoil technically. There is, but whatever.
Yeah, there's always gonna be like vibrations and stuff that will make some kind of recoil, like it's inevitable, but it's barely noticeable compared to if you take the same thing without the recoilless version.
Yeah, so we nerded out really hard just then. But to get back to the point, our top 5 is top 5 ways to unalive things. We'll go with Snuff. What's your number 5 way to unalive something? Not gonna let me finish?
Nope. Axe. Just axe.
All right, give us a reason why, Snuff. Why do you like the axe so much?
Because it's an axe. It's up close and personal. I like to see the fear in their eyes.
All right, sounds good. Bacon, what's yours?
My number 5 is the laser cannon, the one that shoots the laser beam, and I just love how it melts all the enemies, the small ones, and you can even take out tanks with it, and Hulks as well. I think it's just a very satisfying 3D render.
Yeah, definitely.
So my number 5 way to unalive things is I'm gonna say the Eat, and it's the expendable anti-tank. And this thing is a rocket launcher. But the reason why I chose it as my number 5 is because this game is like peak aesthetic, man. This game is just awesome, and when you call in, like you've got a charger coming at you, and you call in and Eat, and a pod hits the ground, and it comes out of the ground, and you grab a anti-tank off the little supply pod, and you extend it, and you hit a charger right as it's inching in towards you, like right at the last second. It's just like peak gaming. Like, it's so much fun.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
that's the point of playing games. Is games should be fun, and I think the Eat is really fun to play with, and so for that reason, it's my number 5.
It's great. Great number
Valid
5.
reason.
Oh, yeah.
And to do a little bit more breakdown on the Eat, it's like I said, it's a rocket launcher. It's most similar to the Law, maybe not the most similar, but it's very similar to the Law. It's like the mix between a Law and an AT4, and essentially, it's an expendable anti-tank, which it comes in a small, compact, like tube, and then you expand it out, and it lengthens the size of it, and then you shoot one rocket, and then you're done. It's expendable, so you just throw the empty tube to the side. All right.
Yeah.
Snuff, what's your number 4 way to unalive something? All right, one more time in case they didn't hear me. I didn't hear you.
I choose the axe.
The axe. Nice.
I don't even need to explain myself.
Classic. Well,
right.
my number 4 is the Quasar Cannon. I just love the satisfaction of building and building and building, and then the pop. And especially if you're taking down like one of those gunships, and you aim it just right, and you like lead it a little bit. So satisfying. Yeah.
Yeah, and we actually did cover the Quasar Cannon on the last episode really heavily, but I will summarize. It has like a 4 or 5 second charge up, and then it can one hit most things, and it has like a 10 to 15 second cooldown.
Yep.
In between shots. Oh, and your number 5 was the laser cannon. That, if you don't know what it is, somebody listening, it's simply a laser. It will overheat. It's a continuous beam. It will overheat if you use it for too long, and then if you use it for too long, you just change out the canister. You just reload, and then you're good to go for another however long it goes. So it's just a continuous beam. But okay, is it my number 4? So my number 4 way to unalive something is getting a multi-kill. So this with either like a grenade or a grenade launcher or like the eruptor. But I like wave clearing with like conventional explosives. Something about it I really like. So it's simple. Grenades, like if you're in a pinch and you're getting surrounded by a bunch of bugs, and you throw an impact grenade, and you just wave clear like 10 or 15 of them. It's nothing better.
Absolutely.
All right, Snuff.
You're not gonna believe it, but it's the axe. There's still nothing more satisfying than axing something.
All right, moving on.
It's the axe.
Bacon?
See?
My number 3 is the axe.
You betray me like this? What is
You
this?
should try, DB. You should try. You'll understand.
It's not because it's like good at taking anything out, but it's I'm doing so much work. I feel like I'm doing more being up close and personal, and when you finally take down that tank or whatever it is, you're like, oh, I did it. Yeah.
And also sometimes the enemies start running away from you as well because they get scared.
Never had that happen.
It happens a lot.
I'm not scary enough yet.
Yeah, like especially the smaller guys who's like, oh shit, time to get out
Oh
here.
no. But yeah, that's my number 3.
All right, my number 3 is the big boom. I like to throw a stratagem on the ground. I like to call in air support, and after the air support comes, I want there to be a big boom. So my number 3 is the 500 kg because it's awesome, man. It's like
yeah.
you got some stuff coming your way. It's the old reliable. Maybe that's arguable. There's a debatable point where lately people aren't liking the 500 kg. They're saying it's not as consistent. I love that thing. So,
it's a beautiful boom.
oh yeah,
Like it is not like very consistent at necessarily taking down things, but it's always a beautiful boom.
it is
Oh,
very
yeah.
beautiful. And there's many times where you can just use that perfectly, and it just create like cinematic moments.
And like arguably, I would actually say that the 500 has a prettier explosion than the Hellbomb.
Oh really?
Because the Hellbomb kind of just lights up everything, while the 500 gives you the smoke, the fire,
It gives you
the mushroom
texture.
cloud. It gives you like this very cinematic boom, while the Hellbomb just lights up everything because it's so big.
Yeah.
All right, Snuff, what's your number 2?
Do you want to guess?
Is it the X?
The stun lance.
He's not. It is the Mexican standoff.
Oh man.
That's my bad.
Stare
For
that
making-
enemy straight in the eye, and you hear the Western music and the wind howling. It's very satisfying. So yeah, that's my number 2.
Nice. All right, Bacon, what's your number 2 way to kill something?
My number 2 way is the same as DB's number 3. It's the 500 kg. It's satisfying. It's a big boom. It's amazing.
Nice. Well, do you have anything to say about it?
500 kg.
What else is there needed to be said? It's the 500.
It's solid, and it deserves that number 2 slot. It's a good spot for it.
Oh yeah. And even if it doesn't kill like the Bile Titan or the Factory Strider, that just walking through the smoke and the explosion is a feeling you can never get.
Well, the point of this list, right? It wasn't necessarily to have specific weapons, right? It's just general ways to kill stuff. And so part of that is my number 2. My number 2 is coming in, saving the day, helping out an ally that's in a bad situation, man.
That's great.
Like I said, the point of a video game is to have fun. And when you have a buddy who's struggling and you see he has a patrol of guys on them and you come out and you pop, it doesn't matter what you do. You could pop a 500 kg behind him and say run, or you could just be laser, pop in a Hulk with your laser. Or I've had it happen where, and I was like new, but I was doing level 9 Helldive. And I had the anti-material rifle, and a guy was running for his life from a Hulk, and I popped that Hulk like 2 or 3 times in the red face with the anti-material rifle, and he was like, "Dude, that was awesome." There's nothing like it, dude.
That's amazing.
Always help out your friends.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's to make it clear and concise. My number 2 is popping a baddie that's chasing an ally. That's what I wrote down.
To accidentally shoot the ally instead.
Whoopsies.
Oopsie doopsie.
It's only forgivable if you do actually kill the thing that was chasing them as well.
Yeah. I mean, at least they aren't following them anymore.
All right. Snuff, what's your number 1 way to unalive something?
it's killing a factory strider with an axe.
There's some variation.
There is nothing else that compares to that in my mind.
So you have to like get on top of it to kill it with an axe,
Yes.
or okay,
Yeah. Like you can technically get it from further down below, but you can't reach up to the joints on the legs. So you kind of
Right.
have to get up on top so you can reach the vents instead.
okay.
So you either have to jump off a cliff to get to it, or you have to drop on it.
You know what's
Yikes.
funny is when we kind of decided that this was the list we're gonna do, the top 5, I was like, surely using yourself, like being called down as a reinforcement and landing on a Bile Titan or landing on a fabricator or factory strider
Mhm.
would be on somebody's list. And it kind of is. It almost is.
Yeah.
I mean, it kinda is, but for me, I don't get the satisfaction
Yeah,
in the same way from doing that,
as you do from chopping it
Yeah.
to bits with an axe.
because it ain't as personal.
But I do I guess it'll be my honorable mention. Probably it's just landing on something. Feels pretty good.
I agree. Because it's kind of like the killing something that's chasing your ally. It's
Yeah.
boom, I'm here to save the day.
Exactly. It's a cinematic little moment. So Bacon, what's
Exactly.
your number one way to unlive something?
My number one way, I've never done it, but I love seeing it, is the portable hell bomb. It's the act of selfless. You guys go on. I'm leaving. I'm taking them down with me, and it's the beautiful explosion and the heart behind it, and it's like, we will miss you.
Yeah. Very
Yeah.
democratic.
Yeah.
Always witness your fellow Helldivers that sacrifices themselves.
Mhm.
Yeah, and there's some epic moments with that personal hell bomb that I've seen happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
definitely.
like, what's beautiful about it? It's like there's something at stake. You know what I mean? It's not just like when you're any good movie or any good story has an obstacle. There's something at stake and there's something in your way to get that thing done.
Right.
And yeah, it's like having a hell bomb, like a personal hell bomb, is like I got a giant bomb strapped to my back, and I'm gonna get in there and I'm going to set it off and get out or not get out. So
Yeah.
so it definitely adds like some stake to the fight. It's very, very deserving number one, I feel.
Very well done.
All right, well, my number one way to unalive something is throwing a passive stratagem on it. So using something that's not necessarily meant to destroy and using it to destroy. So like you might be out of ammo, you might be out of stratagems, you've got like nothing left, but oh, look at my little stratagem list. I've got a resupply pod. Okay. Roger that. Call it in, land it on the charger. That's like, again, chargers, I think, are one of the greatest enemies in any video game ever because it's such a dilemma. It's like it's coming right at you. What do? You only have a certain amount of time, and if you can do like finesse something so cool, like throwing a resupply pod on a charger, so cool,
yeah.
man.
Oh yeah.
Very satisfying.
And also for bonus points, there's a clip going around. It's extremely viral, but this guy dropped an eat. So this is a combination of my number one and my number 5. Somebody dropped an eat. The beacon landed on the charger. It popped out, and it didn't kill the charger. But what happened was it threw the eat in the air. The Helldiver caught it in midair, extended the thing, and hit the charger in the face.
Dude.
Such a beautiful way to unalive something.
That's great.
That one is a good one.
Exceptional clip.
Listener stories. Written by Darth Wrath. Ship name SCS. Song of War. Call sign also Darth Wrath. Location the SCS Hammer of Freedom. Time redacted. Edited by the Ministry of Truth. Diver's log. I know I'm not crazy. I know I saw him. He was there. He helped me. The cadets and other officers... Wow, words are great. The cadets and other officers won't believe me. But I know what happened. I know what I saw. And hopefully this entry will help me gain closure. It all started with a bug mission I decided to undertake solo. Yes, I know. Our way of life is about unity and spreading managed democracy together. But I am a stubborn, seasoned diver with plenty of action under my belt. I know what I'm doing. Besides, this mission was a simple reconnaissance one. At least, that's what it started as. There were E710 pumps that had gone unresponsive, and I was tasked with investigating and restarting them. I figured the bugs probably gummed up the works with their excrement or whatever disgusting substance is that they tend to leave behind. I don't usually ask these questions, but when it comes to the Terminids, I just point where I'm told and shoot. Anyway, there I was on Asperoth Prime, trudging through the mud and the rain after these pumps in a Bile Spewer and Bile Titan country. I wasn't scared. I had plenty of supplies and stratagems, even brought my faithful recoilless in case of any of the big ones come along. Activating the pumps, easy. The advancing horde that responded to the noise and the vibrations, that was where it got dicey. I'd gotten surrounded fast. Fortunately, I brought along my Halt shotgun, my Senator, and a few thermite grenades. But I wasn't short on stopping power. And I had plenty of stratagem spheres, but I underestimated them. The dumbest thing a diver could do. I went in thinking this would be simple. I had used all but one stim eventually. I threw a stratagem to signal my eagle for a strafing run. What happened? What it was expected. A brilliant and accurate hail of bullets that tore the advancing bugs apart, reducing them to green and orange mist. Until the charger ran through it like it was nothing. It sprinted through the gunfire, like a phantom coming to take me to hell. Thinking fast, I grabbed a thermite and activated it. But I wasn't fast enough to dodge, as the grenade latched onto the behemoth's skull. It let out a roar of pain as it hit me, throwing me a dozen yards to the left. I was quick to stem and was slowly getting up, when there he was. He was reaching a gloved hand down at me as I shook myself from the brilliant shock of the hit. Behind him, the charger's head exploded in a brilliant blast of fire as the new ally said, "On your feet, diver. You're no good to democracy on the ground." I was dumbfounded. Where had he come from? I didn't see a destroyer beside mine in the atmosphere. I didn't receive a notice that another diver was landing. Nothing. Yet, there he was. He was dressed in a standard officer's armor, but I couldn't see a trace of facial features behind the visor. He helped me up and even gave me a gentle pat on the side of my helmet before brushing off my shoulder armor. "You squared away?" I nodded quickly and retrieved my Halt before responding, "Yes, sir." He had nodded in approval before gesturing to the pumps. "Come on, let's get these things in working order and call it a day." We did what we set out to do, but it was so strange. He cut through bugs like they were nothing. I could have sworn at one point a bug had managed to hit him, but nothing happened. He actually headbutted the offending hunter before spraying it into pieces with his liberator. Finishing the mission wasn't hard thanks to him. He made walking through swamplands full of bugs look easy. Even when we faced multiple Bile Titans together, this diver got behind me and loaded my recoilless up before tapping the back of my helmet. I didn't even need to call in for a resupply. He had tossed me a few shells here and a grenade there. The bugs were nothing to us. He ran at them like a man possessed, screaming things like, "Kill them all!" or "Have a nice cup of liberty!" It was quite the spectacle. All the way up until he walked me to the Pelican and waited to pick me up. I was stumbling, exhausted, covered in mud, green blood, and God knows what else. He wasn't affected at all, as he gave me a strong stride beside me, his head turning every which way, alert, ready for anything to attack. He had my back the whole way. Finally, when we made it up to the edge of the clearing, an extraction shuttle patiently waited in the middle. He patted me hard on the shoulder. The sound of his voice told me he was smiling. "You did good, diver. You go on." I stopped to question. "Wait, what about you? Where's your ship, your destroyer? Where did you even come from?" He only shook his head. "Don't worry about that, soldier. I'm sure we'll see each other again. You just keep doing Super Earth proud." With that, he made his way back into the jungle, and he was gone, like he'd vanished, or just evaporated or something. Like he was never there. I didn't know what to make of it as I got on the Pelican. I still don't know. When I debriefed my unit, they didn't believe me, because there were no other reports. Not a single sign another diver was there. The only thing I am 100% sure of, I saw initials on his chest plate over his heart. J.H. Whoever he was, I wish I could tell him I wouldn't have made it out without him, wherever he may be now. Yeah,
That was awesome.
I think, yeah.
Yeah, great story.
Yeah. Good story. Thank you for your service.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you for your service.
That was also, I always love the stories that Darth Wrath does. They're
Oh, yeah.
exceptional. And if you guys have little poems you've written or stories, come get in the Discord. Let us know. We'll read them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that one, I actually don't think we edited at all. So that's actually how it was written. So very, very good story.
Very, very nice.
But this JH guy, wonder who that is.
Whoever he is.
Who knows? Who knows? All right. I think it's time.
It's
We
time.
all know what time it is.
Ship
names.
Ship names.
All right. I want Snuff to do his American voice, so I think we'll go in this order. I think I'll do first, and then Bacon, then Snuff.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. So the first ship name comes from Boltman from the Discord. It's the SES Wings of Redemption. Named for all the enemies I send flying to hell with every redeeming bullet.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you for your
Thank you for your
service.
service. Very nice name.
I gotta do some vocal warm-ups real quick. Double kill. Triple kill. Okay. This one's from my brother, Crazy KK777, with the SES Hammer of perseverance. He said he likes giant hammers like King DDD's and perseverance for reminding him to keep on keeping on. Thank you for your service.
Thank
you for your service. All right. I need to prepare myself then. Because this one comes from somewhere special. This comes from one of our Spotify comments from the United States of America. The SES Soldier of the Stars. They say, I'm more, but that's my current. I'm currently swapping my armor with the SA4 Combat Technician or the first page Cowboy Armor. And for the helmet, Jaguar Beret, primary Deadeye Sidearm. Sidearm is a Senator, stratagems are 500 kg, the airstrike, rail cannon strike, and the railgun weapon is pretty good against all factions. Best against bots. If you ever see Camo Dino 24 out there, drop in and say hi. Thank you for your service, sir.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you for your service.
Join the Discord.
I will say, it just sounds like you have something in your mouth.
Always do. Always got something there in my bottom lip, you know. Get the southern drawl going.
You gotta start eating that wheat grass.
Gotta toot that horn, you know. Back to my normal voice.
Yeah, it was even harder to understand you than normal. But all right, so Snuff, tell us about the community task. I know that we don't have one for this episode, but tell us what happened with the last episode. Tell us what's going to happen with the next episode.
Yes, so currently we will not put one follow next episode. Pay attention on next episode. You'll get something. I won't say anything more than that. But I have currently put up some polls for you guys. They will run out soon. But to see basically how the community responds to the Berserker Challenge and the Valhalla Challenge. How they liked it. Kind of if they found it duration fine. If they liked the balance of the difficulty. So on and so on, if everyone should get a title and so on. So at the current standing, as we're talking now, people in general thought the Berserker Challenge was balanced. There was a few people that think it was a little bit too hard, but that was also kind of the point of it, because it was a title that everyone can get. So I wanted to make something that they had to strive for to get, not something that is just given out willy-nilly.
Mm-hmm.
For duration of events, currently people want 14 days events. They currently want everyone to get a title, or be able to get a title at least. Now, back to that, you have to expect, if we keep running with that, the challenges will probably be a little bit harder, because if it's something everyone can get, it's not like you just participate. I'm not dealing out participation medals for these events. But we have also planned, like, we might the next one is how often do you want events. Most people want 1 per month. A lot of people also want 2 per month. So what we might do is we'll have like a themed event series. So we'll have one big event now and then on rare occasions. Maybe not even once a month on the big events. Maybe every second month. But we might run series of continuous themed events that are way easier than the big events. So you always have something to strive for, even if you're high level or low level, if you want something to grind for. So you might release that continuous events, but we'll see a little bit on that. But we will continue with challenges like the Berserker ones, that's for sure, but those will be rare. not every month necessarily, and they will be hard.
Mhm.
Those challenges are definitely going to be titles that everyone can get, but you will have to grind for them. It's not something you will get easily. Now, the Berserker challenge itself, I have decided that it will come back. Currently, you cannot get the title anymore, but it will come back at some point. So anyone who wants the title, start practicing. I will roll it out again, and I will also probably refine it anymore. It will most likely come back as a harder challenge than what it was this time. Just for your information. So if you want to actually get that Berserker title, you better start practicing. That includes you too, DB. Get the axe. But yeah. So next episode, pay close attention to the end of that one. We will most likely have something for you. It will be a special episode. So yeah.
Yeah, awesome. And if you guys want to play with Snuff, or play with me, or play with Bacon, we will be trying to be in the Discord more often. Weekends are usually really good to play with us. But yeah,
if you're in Europe, you'll most likely find me on in the afternoons and the evenings, on weekdays as well. But otherwise, weekends, you can pretty much find us at any time almost.
Mhm.
Yeah, usually somebody is in the Discord to play with.
Yeah.
And it might be fun in the future to have an event where it's like you have to be playing at a certain time. So it's like, hey, everybody, this event is going to start at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time or whatever. Join.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But yeah, awesome. So with that being said, go ahead and join the Discord. Submit your listener stories. Go ahead and write up a story or write up a little poem. We'll read the poems or stories. Go to the Discord and submit your ship names. Submit clips and TikToks that you have, and compete in the community challenge.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. See you on the front lines.
See you on the front lines.
See you on the front lines.
Ba, 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 da.
Bye.
All Super Earth podcast content is based on the game Helldivers 2, created by Arrowhead Game Studios and published by Sony Interactive Entertainment.